he treated them in the only language he understood, violence, leading to the death of Solo Sandeng and the brutal torture of his cohorts. This was the Gambia that we had. So important was his throne to him that he would not even spare his relatives. We had today, from a person who was very close to him, that he killed at least 5 of them just because he believed those people wanted him dead. And in the process, Mr. Chair, I have just sat down here and draw up a list of those who were killed attributed to Jammeh and his forces. And Mr. Chair, my count, or our count, came to 214 people. 214 people in a small country like Gambia that borders or smacks of crimes against humanity. For a country as small as Gambia that smacks of crimes against humanity. And I can give you a list. November 11, 11 people, 11 soldiers summarily executed. April 10th, 12 school children and 2 people executed. His relatives, 5 of them, Haruna Jasaja, Sise Bujiling, Momadou Lamin Nyasi, Masi Jammeh, and others. 5 of them. Daba Marena and Co. We have heard from the person closest to Jammeh just yesterday as to how Jammeh sat there and planned how to lie to the Gambian people. What happened to these people? How Tumbul Tamba called and said, tell him fucking mission accomplished. And how he was given a big bag of money. Daba Marena and Co. lost their lives unnecessarily. They did nothing. We've heard how the West African migrants were butchered in several places around the country, 67 of them. Initially, we thought they were 34, then 44, then 57, and ultimately 67 people butchered. And the government went on a campaign to cover this up. Well, we have had even today the witch hunting exercise that was ordered by Jammeh. 41 people died. A lot of them, our grandmothers and our grandfathers, humiliated, tortured, some sexually abused. We've heard about the fraudulent PATP, that is the President Alternative Treatment Program. We've heard that. Well, only one person claimed to have been cured, and that person did not come to the commission. It's being rumored out there. But everybody else who was in that program and testified before this commission said that they are still HIV positive, and that soon after the treatment they had to go into conventional medicine. Without that, they would have died. They were hoodwinked into believing that our president had a cure. And Mr. Chair, let nobody kid you. If the president of your country tells you he can do something, the tendency is you would believe him. He fraudulently lured our sick people into a treatment program that was bogus. He was a charlatan. He was a quack. Can't be described in any lesser way, Mr. Chair. Ensa Keita testified here and talked about how he was captured and taken to Kanilai and being tortured And 8 people he provided that list were killed while he was there. 8 people. And he, including that woman who was supposed to have a beard, and they butchered her for bamboo sada to be given to the crocodiles as charity. Charity for who? For the benefit of Jammeh. Why? For him to entrench himself on that throne. If you add that all together, it gives you about 204. Well, yes, about 204. And then we have written down another list of those who are not counted. Korosise, Usman Korosise, Deda Haidara, Baba Job, Ndongo Mbub, Soldaw, Mahawa Cham, Ndur Cham, Tumane Jallo, Abdoulaye Gueye, Alma Momane, Amadou Doumbouya, Dawda Nyasi, Mustafa Koli, Ilo Jallo, Mariama Kamara and her husband Alpha Jallo. This we've not been able to investigate conclusively yet, but we are still at it. Mahmoud Sise and Ibu Job. We had Oya. He testified before here. He said Yahya Jammeh instructed them to chop them up. It wasn't sufficient to just kill them. It wasn't sufficient to decapitate them. They had to chop them up. Gruesome. 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 And Tumbul Tamba. And I will come back to him. The Nigerian killed by Almamo Mane after the Jammeh convoy. Well, we've had Jallo today and yesterday saying Jammeh protected him. This was a country where if you kill in the name of the head of state, you get protected or even get promoted. This was the Gambia we lived in. Yahya Jammeh was captured. The rebel attack in Farafenni, he was tortured so badly, few months later he died. Jammeh created these institutions wherein torture was the name of the game. Torture was the order of the day. It was his star chamber. We've had the NIA officer saying that torture was almost certain to happen in cases where he is involved. In fact, we've heard from someone so close to Jammeh who told us sometimes he will come disguised and participate in torture. Well, the public may not have had that. Yes, but it is evidence before the commission. We have heard how video recorders are carried by some of his agents, and they will take videos of tortures, well, and maybe even killings, because we have heard how Dabamarena and co were dealt with. Tumbul had to come with a video recorder and a video camera and had to show Jammeh proof. I am ashamed that this was the country our people lived in. I'm ashamed that this is the country that my parents lived in. I'm ashamed that this is the country my children live in, and this is where they're growing up. This is what happened in Gambia. Between 220 murders to 250 murders occurred in this country during Jammeh's rule, attributable to Jammeh. And that is not the enforced disappeared. We've heard from Sheikh Jallo. Jammeh told him, oh, Solo is lucky, but for my mother, I would have disappeared him. Well, disappearing people was part of his modus operandi. Indeed, Buba Yabo disappeared. Abdoulaye Anne disappeared. Babai Sanyang disappeared. Chief Ibrahim Amane disappeared. Omar Haidara disappeared. Sidi Sane disappeared. Momodu Job disappeared. And Kanyiba Kanyi, we've heard from his wife how the NIA took him away from their home. We've heard from people who were at NIA, at Mile 2 prisons, describing how he was taken away at night. So bad it was that when civil servants went to work, they're not sure they're going to come back home. And to tame the civil service, he had the laws to do it. You dance to his tune, you're safe. You don't, you face the peril of a false information charge or an economic crimes charge or being sacked by a letter of 1 or 2 lines or at least 1 sentence without recourse to law. That is the evidence that's been unearthed before this commission. There may be deniers. Yes, there will be deniers. But these numbers don't lie. These numbers don't lie. If you ask the family of Solo Sandeng, they would tell you we feel the pain. Deny as much as you wish, but we feel the pain. If you ask Amadou Kebe, he would say, deny as much as you want. I am walking with 1 foot shorter. Ask those students who were there on that fateful day of April 10th. Some would tell you I have a bullet lodged in my body. Those things don't lie. Deny as much as you wish. But the facts speak for themselves. And the Gambian people have seen it. What we had was a terrible dictatorship that would do everything to self-perpetuate and to strengthen its so-called supremacy over the Gambian people. No wonder it demanded to be crowned. And we had minions running around the country trying to secure that. We have heard Yahya Jammeh saying that the meetings were held at his home. If the Gambian people were in strong at that point, we would have been having a monarchy now. The kingdom of, I don't want to say it, with James Junkung the first as our king. That is what was going to happen. And thanks to God, the Gambian people dug deep into their reservoir and said, no, 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 it's not going to happen. But by this time, we had gone too far into a dictatorship. We have gone too far into self-perpetuation with 22 years. We have gone too far deep in corruption where the whole treasury and the central bank was an extension of the executive household. We have heard from Mr. Njai, who testified a few days ago, how his property was taken away from him in gangster style. Mr. Chair, all these things I am saying tells me crimes against humanity, crimes against humanity, crimes against humanity. And the forum to deal with that is not only limited in Gambia. It could be Gambia, it could be Ghana, it could be West Africa, it could be somewhere in Africa, it could be the ICC. So no matter how people deny, no matter how one can control what may happen in Gambia, that same institution cannot control what happens outside or elsewhere. We have seen Hussein Habri. He's run away for 20-something years. he had to face the law. The other day I saw a publication with the Justice Dial pointing at Jammeh. Perhaps that is what needs to happen. Justice must happen. We all crave for reconciliation. And that is fundamental. That is absolutely important. We all crave for unity of the Gambian people because we are in one little boat. And all of us have to be our brother's keeper so that we can keep this little boat afloat. But that said, there must also be justice. There should be justice for the victims. There should be justice for us as a people because we are all scared, we are all traumatized as a people because of the dark chapter that happened to us. 22 years of brutality, 22 years of disrespect for the Gambian people. But we are the cause of it because we succumbed. We accepted it. We coached him through it. We guided him through it. We told him we would accept it. And no wonder when he threw water, even some of our imams would dive just to touch that water, because coming from him, it has spiritual value. Embarrassing situation. This is what I see Dr. Cisse asking whether that is true. Yes, indeed, it happened in this country. Dictatorship, self-perpetuation in power, and corruption is a recipe for disaster. But in order to free ourselves from those shackles, we have to ensure that there is rule of law in this country and that we have strong democratic institutions. Otherwise, we are doomed. And this has to be the cornerstone of the recommendations of the TRRC. If never again is to be meaningful, it has to be anchored on rule of law. It has to be anchored on strong institutions. It has to be anchored on a disciplined society. I pray to God that we reform our attitudes and we show commitment to this little country called Gambia, that we have so much, as said by Mr. Carr, borrowed from our children. We have to be careful the Gambia we hand over to them. If we do not correct the ills of the past, we will be sowing seeds of disaster for the future. I leave it at that, Mr. Chair. I think we have made a good case. Even those who are in denial, if they search deep down, they would see that the truth has come out. And the truth is, Jammeh took us on a wild ride for his own self-aggrandizement. He has to pay the price. And those who enabled him also have to pay the price. Justice must be done. It must be seen to be done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.